So in this video, this guy went to just, you know, mechanic he knew, not to the dealer. And I'm not saying the dealer is the only people that know how to do brakes, because I know plenty of you do brakes very well. Better than some mechanics that I've seen, obviously. This 2013 Ford F-150 Raptor came in. One pad wore completely thin, while the other ones were still like 75% pad life plus. And they were all galled over with grease and stuff like that, but the one pad that wore better than the rest of them actually wasn't greasy at all. So I wonder why it was doing all the braking and the other ones weren't. And then in the back, after getting the fronts done, the back ones look completely fine. You know, from an inspection standpoint, the rotors look fine, but after getting the front ones done and taking them out to burnish the pads in, everything was stopping fine. But whenever you'd come to a quick stop from a slow speed, the back right caliper would almost bounce and growl at you a little bit. And I was thinking to myself, wow, that's crazy. So I went and grabbed the customer. I said, come on, jump in the truck with me real quick. And he lives like an hour away in the city. And we went for a test drive, and he was like, yeah, I feel that. That's weird. I never paid attention to that before. But yeah, now that you showed me, it's been doing that. I said, yeah, I'm gonna have to get into your back brakes. Probably cheap pads or something's not right. A caliper or something's locked up. Let me get back there and see what's going on. And he said, yeah, if you got to put new rotors and pads on, just do it. So I get the wheels and everything off. You're going to see in this video, and it's just cheap Wagner pads, grease all over the place. The surface of the rotor real shiny, doesn't have any of its kind of like grittiness to help with that texture of the friction of stopping. And it was just poorly done, poorly put together. It wasn't cleaned very good. But here's the video. F-150 Raptor brake pads going wrong. Shade tree. Whatever this goopy orange grease was that they used, that stuff was crap. Have you ever had a job when you go to slide your brake pads on the actual caliper bracket, they don't fit, and then you got to grind the ends of them down? Normally it's because people leave stuff like that, and then it binds up when it should be looking more like this with nothing left behind. And then when you put those clips in and slide the brake pads in, everything fits properly. Let me get this all cleaned up and show you what it should look like when you're done. So I clean off the mounting spots where the bolts anchor, and then I clean off on the insides where the clips actually grab right here, because a lot of times they'll fight you and they don't want to grab. And the reason is because there's too much metal in the spots where they normally would sit. They sit in this little channel slot thing right here. The ends of them do. There's a little groove that they clip in. See that right there? I left one purposely so you guys can see that it's not very clean. I've got to do better. Now it's clean, and the clips will go on nice and easy. This is how nice and tight it should look, and these just slide right on there. And the reason it fights people and they got to start grinding stuff down is, I do admit some pads are cheaply made and you have to grind some paint and a little bit of metal down because it's aftermarket. But these I see guys fighting with them. It's because they leave little bits of rust under these clips, and then they wonder why. You don't just pull the clips off and pull clips on. You actually got to clean up underneath there so they slide good, because they will bind up and cause uneven brake wear. Okay guys, time to finish putting this back together. This was just about why your brake pads won't fit inside the calipers. Visually, while I'm at it, everything looked fine, right? When I came in for inspection, everything looked fine. Looked like it had plenty of pad, looked like the rotors were good and stuff like that. It's not. This rotor face is actually glazed over. And when you go to apply the brakes, now the front ones, I just did the front ones. I showed you guys in this video, or in how to clean the slides and stuff like that, or some key points about why the brake pads won't fit. I go out to test drive everything. The front is stopping fine and grabbing fine now, but the back is grunting as if it's skipping, as if something's bound up. It's so glazed over. And the pads have this shit grease all over it, this orange goopy shit all over it, to where now it probably got out on the rotor face. And you can see I literally just brought this in and it's barely even warm. It's not even applying the brake on this side. It's so glazed over, and the pad's just bouncing off of it and grunting as it's stopping. So now I'm going to have to pull all this apart and redo this brake job. And with this being an older Raptor 6.2 four-wheel drive, it has the push-in pistons. So it's super easy. You just push them in and that's it. And then just dismount everything, clean everything up, cut the rotor, put new slides and stuff on, new brake pads on, and go burnish them in. Oh, I just got done test driving the customer's vehicle after going through all this, and these are the rear pads, BR1602A for a non-emergency brake Ford F150 Raptor SVT with a 6.2 liter. These are the rear pads, BR1602A. But I noticed on these Wagners they had here, they had grease all over the place on these things. I mean, just grease everywhere. And these things do a terrible job of stopping. They were so galled over and shiny and stuff. The rotors were really shiny and they were bouncing and grabbing like they weren't able to apply properly. The front's the same way. It's grease everywhere. And BRF 16 or BRF 1899 were the fronts. 150 foot-pound lug nut torque. Resurfaced the rotors. I took about 5 thousandths off each side of the rotor in the front, and then in the back about 3 or 4 thousandths, because they were just like just real shiny. Like they weren't really there was no real mating. Like whoever put these pads and stuff on used way too much grease to begin with, and they never burnished them in properly. So, you know, I could have chanced it and took a grinder to those, cleaned all the grease off of it and buzzed over the face of it, but I'd rather just put Ford pads back on it. And the guy lives in the city. He says he lives like an hour away. He was just out here for work, and they had a meeting and he wanted to just get it all done now. So yeah, these everything turned out great. No grabbing, no bouncing and jerking from the rear brakes anymore. You kind of feel it in your, when you go to come to a hard stop quick. It's almost like you can feel it bouncing and grabbing, making like a growling sound. Not so much a grinding sound, but just two surfaces that are just really slick that don't want to mate properly. And get the guy out of here, get him on his way, and you know, that's how you gain customers, because now he says he's just going to come back exclusively and deal with me. He said, I like you, dude. I like you, and I'll come back because I work right down the street. Next week I'll come back and I'll have you service my transmission. I just had it done about 50,000 miles ago. And I said, you know what? I'd rather have a service interval on a trans more often than wait the 100,000 miles like Ford says, because I think that's a bunch of hogwash. I don't like that at all. And he said, you know what, then that's what we'll do. Every like 40, 50,000, I'll come back and I'll have you service it, and I'll just deal with you exclusively, and I'll ask for the YouTube guy. So here we are. Thanks, guys.